I have a special report out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. You've probably seen the footage by now on other channels. I'm posting this because Mrs. Mack, the one who took the video, asked me if I could do something to help her get the word out. Mrs. Mack, I'm honored that you asked me, and here is the Questionable Authority special report on the gang activity she found. Please check out her channel and subscribe to Mrs. Mack Little Mac. A link to her full video and channel are in the description. It takes courage to do what she did to expose this gang activity. What Mrs. Mack seems to have uncovered is an organized crime ring that is very sophisticated in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Basically, what we have is a small group of people who write down rules on pieces of paper for those residing or participating in commerce and industry in this area of Michigan. They have drawn up boundaries, and if you pass through this area and enter into Grand Rapids, be warned, they have armed gangsters patrolling the streets enforcing these rules. If you are non-compliant or try to flex your rights as a free human, they will remind you very quickly you're not free. The techniques they use are group intimidation, or even worse, threats of violence if you don't comply with their directives. They are trained to and will initiate force on anyone they feel is a threat to their personal safety. Worse yet, they are trained to think until they can eliminate you as a risk, you are a risk. This is when they will justify using force against you. Keep in mind, the rest of us, in order to defend ourselves under their rules, would have to actually be aggressed upon by one or more of these thugs. That aggression would also have to be in violation of one of the rules they set up. The worst part is these people have the residents in the area convinced if every few years they hand in a vote for who they think should limit their inherent rights and steal their money, it is somehow a choice, and the people are still free. Of course, it extends beyond this, to states and federal government in this area as well. Listen to what Lysander Spooner wrote about voting. In truth, in the case of individuals, their actual voting is not to be taken as proof of consent, even for the time being. On the contrary, it is to be considered that, without his consent having ever been asked, a man finds himself environed by a government that he cannot resist. A government that forces him to pay money, render service, and forego the exercise of many of his natural rights, under the peril of weighty punishments. He sees, too, that other men practice this tyranny over him by the use of the ballot. He sees further that if he will but use the ballot himself, he has some choice of relieving himself of this tyranny of others by subjecting them to his own. In short, he finds himself, without his consent, so situated, if he used the ballot, he may become a master. If he does not use it, he must become a slave. And he has no other alternative than these two. In self-defense, he attempts the former. His case is analogous to that of a man who has been forced into battle, where he must either kill others or be killed himself. Because, to save his own life in a battle, a man attempts to take the lives of his opponents. It is not to be inferred that the battle is one of his own choosing. Neither in contest with the ballot, which is a mere substitute for a bullet. Because, as his only chance of self-preservation, a man uses a ballot, is it to be inferred that the contest is one into which he voluntarily entered? That he voluntarily set up his own natural rights as a stake against those of others, to be lost or won by the mere power of numbers? On the contrary, it is to be considered that, in an exigency into which he had been forced by others, and in which no other means of self-defense offered, he, as a matter of necessity, used the only one that was left to him. In reality, voting is more like a suggestion box of which authoritarian you want making decisions in your life. Don't believe me? In this video, these armed gang members try telling this free woman she has to have a light on her bicycle to ride it at night. Guys, no government at any level calling itself a government representing free people should be restricting our inherent right to travel freely like this. Another Lysander Spooner quote. A man's natural rights are his own, against the whole world, and any infringement of them is equally a crime. Whether committed by one man or by millions, whether committed by one man calling himself a robber or by millions calling themselves a government. Keep all that in mind as you watch this video. Be sure to watch the full video on Mrs. Mack's channel. If these gangsters really are public servants, why did they treat her and others just filming and asking simple questions like we are criminals and threats to them? Enjoy the video, hit the like button, and share it with everyone you know. And of course, don't forget to subscribe.
Officer, do we need 6 people for one pullover?
Yep.
Does it take that many? What was the crime?
We're not here to answer your questions, okay?
You're public servants, sir.
We're conducting an investigation right now, okay? So I don't need you to interfere with it.
Here, we have someone asking a simple question of why it takes 6 well-compensated order followers to take one compliant man in handcuffs to jail. My first problem with these thugs is there are at least 3 just standing around observing. Mrs. Mack is told she's disrupting the investigation? How? Why can't one of these supposed public servants deal with her? Because that would give the public the idea Mrs. Mack is looking out for her community. Instead, they want everyone to think she is a disruption to keeping the peace. As Mrs. Mack correctly points out, this is not reality.
Public sidewalk.
Okay. I'm not going to have you walk up on our backside, okay? I don't know if you're armed or not.
I'm not armed and I have no ill intent.
People lie to me every day.
I have no ill intent and I'm not armed.
That's fine. I'm sorry if I don't believe you.
Look how many guns here, sir. Look how many.
It doesn't matter.
One person, one camera. What's the fear? Look how many guns and I'm not afraid.
It's not a matter of fear.
Well, then
I don't know you. I don't know whether you have weapons on you.
I don't know you and I know you've got weapons and I'm not shaking in front of you, sir.
Okay.
And I'm not afraid of your body cams.
Okay. I'm not afraid of your camera either. I'm recording you. You're recording me.
Sir.
We are indoctrinated at an early age to think these guys are good and just keeping the peace. We are told they are heroes who put their lives on the line for our safety. If you spend much time reviewing police use of force interactions and the training they receive for those situations, it is clear they don't put their lives on the line like we are told they do. If this coward isn't a pathetic excuse of a person, I don't know what is. He has 5 of his armed goons with him, according to Mrs. Mack. They seemed pretty casual about it, and they're there to back him up. This goon is just butthurt she is recording him take this man in cuffs to be thrown in a cage. Well, guess what? Get a new job if you can't face the reality of yours, which is stealing from others for your pay, extorting money from the public for victimless crimes, and possibly even throwing people in cages for those victimless crimes. They enforce what they call a war on drugs, which is really a war on people. Maybe I need to double check the definition of hero, but these order followers don't seem to fit the bill or even come close to it. They aren't even included in the top 10 most dangerous jobs.
Are you aware you're supposed to have a light on your bike?
Yes, I am. Somebody stole it. I need to replace it. I was on the sidewalk writing because of that. And I knew this would happen. I knew that as soon as, because you're being held accountable, I knew, because nobody has ever asked me that. I was on the sidewalk, sir. Well, why? Because of a camera?
No.
Go stop everybody else. Do you know how many I saw? About 4 bikes going that way. No lights.
I'll go get them.
You didn't see them?
No, where are they?
So many of you, maybe you should go look for them, sir.
Okay, when I'm done writing you your ticket, I'll go find them, okay?
Go ahead and find them. We're all just as guilty, but they probably all got them stolen too.
First, and then when I'm done with that, I'll go find them, okay?
Sir, you're on camera that you said initially, that's not what you said initially. It's all because of the camera, sir.
Here we go with this bike thing again. I talked about this briefly in another video. Mrs. Mack points out, and I believe her to be right, this law is not something cops use and ticket people a lot with. It is essentially only used as a way for illegal detainment. Order followers will use it only when needed. Like here, when they don't want to be recorded carrying out their gang activity. That's tough on that hero reputation they have. Mrs. Mack even points out she has never been stopped or asked about it until she decided to record these thugs. They didn't hassle other people with no lights that passed by, just her. You gotta love this wonderful freedom our rulers allow us to have, right? Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to check out Mrs. Mack Little Mac on her channel. Links are in the description. I'll be bringing some more like this as I've had some requests to highlight others as well. I'm more than happy to bring attention to anything like this you guys can find. Remember to always film the police. If you are unsure or need help, reach out to any of us. I know everyone I have spoken with is more than happy to contribute what they can in support and help. I'm adding this to the challenge put out by High Desert Community Watch. I challenge you to record a cop and post it, either on your own channel or by getting it to someone else. It is empowering and so important in exposing the tactics and behavior of these order followers. Thanks again for all the support, guys. I love reading your thoughtful comments and hearing your stories. So don't forget to leave me one and hit the like button before sharing this video with everyone you know. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit the like button and share it with everyone you know. Find us on Twitter, as well as censorship-free platforms like BitChute and Steemit or DTube. Of course, subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to smile at someone you don't know every day.